I suppose if you get like maybe the Lego flowers, that's what you got to put in your garden is all the Lego flowers that they have coming out now, right? And
I did switch all of my office plants to Lego based plants because I kept killing the real ones. I'm like, I've just got a load of dead things around my office, so they're all Lego based now.
yeah.
They're very good actually. I quite like them. They're quite colourful.
Yeah, I love the Luxo Junior that I got. Right, I'm not a big Lego fan, but when I saw the Pixar, I was like, all right, I got to get that. And I bought a light that goes into it, but it totally didn't work. So I should have known by the 2 stars Amazon gave it that I didn't pay any attention to.
2 stars is like playing with fire.
It is, and I was so excited that I could add a light to the actual light. I usually always look at the ratings, and I didn't. And then when I got it, the wiring was so cheap that it just had fallen out before I even opened it, and it's just like so like epic fail the whole way around. So
it's probably good they did it before you started using it, because the last thing you want is like you're in a community call just about to start, and then you get electrocuted in front of us all.
Like, although it'd be electric, and I don't have any hair to fry, cool. So.
Yeah,
there's plus one. You just see me. They're like, oh, David's really excited this morning.
He's had more caffeine than usual.
That's right. He never looks electrocuted at home. We are live with the community. This is the Microsoft 365 Power Platform Development bi-weekly call. Today is July 31st, our last day of the month, our last call of the month. So excited you all took time out to spend it with us. Well, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the latest updates on the community. We're going to talk about Copilot Prompt of the Week. We're going to talk about .NET libraries and PowerShell, script samples. We're going to talk about a little bit of Copilot Camp and more pro dev samples and, of course, Power Platform samples. And then it'll be everybody's favorite time, picture time. So get those fantastic faces ready, because we absolutely want to capture it and show all of your wonderful smiles off to the community. And then we're going to have 2 amazing presenters of the day. Maybe 3. We'll see how time goes. Brian is here. He's going to talk about Power Platform meets Terraform. So some new technology there I'm excited to learn more about. And then, of course, the Warrior Horse King is going to be back. And, of course, he's going to be talking about list formatting tips and tricks. So super excited to see both of those presenters. And depending on time, we may have a bonus. Yay, bonus. Woo! Woo! That's right. Okay. So what are some of those resources that are available to each and every one of you? Well, I'm glad you asked, even though you didn't. But we're going to pretend you did. Our first is the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. Now, this is our YouTube channel for the community that showcases not just what's going on inside of Microsoft, but what all of you are doing. So things like this call gets presented there and uploaded there. All of the demos get extracted and uploaded there. And then many other initiatives within the community and Microsoft, they are uploaded there as well. And we get constant reminders from YouTube saying, hey, you could do a whole lot better if you would actually post less. Your metrics would be better and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? We are okay with that. We are breaking the rules in all the right ways because we want to showcase each and every one of you as much as possible and all the amazing stuff that you're doing. So if you're not already subscribing to that YouTube channel, definitely go check it out. Like and subscribe, comment on some of the videos, let folks know you loved them because it's really appreciated and it goes a long way. You never know how just a thumbs up or, hey, I love this video could brighten someone's day. So definitely get involved. That is a way to contribute as well. We've also got our LinkedIn group for discussions. We've also got our open source tooling, so things like PNP.js and CLI for Microsoft 365 and all that goodness is available through the community. And, of course, all of our sample galleries, which we have thousands of samples now, only because of all of you. So thank you again. And those span things like team samples and Copilot Pro Dev samples, SPFX samples, Power Platform list formatting, the list. That's right. The list goes on and on and on. But you only need to remember one URL. That's ak.ms/community/home. Or, hey, our fancy top-level domain, community.ms, will take you to all of these things. And I'm glad you asked also about community calls, even though you may not have, but we're going to still pretend you did. This is one of those community calls, and we've got more. So our weekly Microsoft 365 Power Platform Microsoft Speakers call, that call is currently being taken over by the community, right? Like the Kool-Aid guy smashing through the wall. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're taking it over. We're showcasing a whole bunch of community hackathon entries and other community things. Usually it goes on break during July and August, but we decided that there's been so much demand for the community calls and the demos, we wanted to make sure that we are giving every opportunity to showcase all the cool stuff that you're doing. So definitely tune into that. That is weekly on Tuesday. We've got our monthly Power Platform call that happens the third Wednesday of every month. Our office add-ins, which is once a month. And then, of course, our sibling bi-weekly calls, one of which you're on right now, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community, and the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. Those happen every Thursday. No breaks ever. Don't let Ross tell you that we were on a break, because we never are. It is going to be there every Thursday, every week, every year, forever. So we're excited. Tune in, download the invites from aka.ms/community/calls. You definitely want to get these on your calendar. These are like a crystal ball into what's now, what's new, what's next. So take advantage of them. Can't all possibly keep up to date, and this is your opportunity to utilize the community to help you do that. Speaking of that community call takeover, on the 5th of August, we have a few demos that we have in store. Sophia is going to be talking about prompt columns in Dataverse. We're going to have a couple more hackathon demos. Benedict will be talking about SharePoint Hackathon, Modern Workplace with SharePoint and Teams. And then Vinay will be here talking about SharePoint Hackathon, the new adaptive learning portal. So again, these are wonderful opportunities for folks that have submitted to that hackathon, showcasing a very broad spectrum. Some cases just using out-of-the-box functionality, which is great, showing how they used it without having to extend it. And then others are showing high extensibility. So it's a broad spectrum in how others have been able to embrace the technology and learn it. Isn't always showing code, isn't it always showing just basic functionality. Sometimes it's a mix of both, but it's a great opportunity to kind of see how others are using it and how maybe we might want to leverage it based on the ideas that they've done. So definitely go support that. And hey, if you want to present on these calls, well, guess what? We want you to. So all you got to do is fill out this super long URL that sounds like a slasher film, aka.ms/community/request/demo. Don't worry, no deaths are involved in the demos. You don't have to worry about that. There is no risk of death, but there is risk of looking awesome. And so we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to do that. Go fill it in. We'll get back to you and let you know what the available slots are. I know that there are some coming up here soon. We had to make some modifications to agendas. And so if you're wanting to present, hey, reach out to me directly as well. We might be able to slot you in over the next couple weeks if you're looking to do that. But don't question whether or not your sample is relevant. It absolutely is. And we encourage you. We'll buddy up with you. We're going to support you the whole way, every step of the way. So please don't hesitate. If you have questions, reach out. We'll let you know and help answer them. So it's a great way to get involved. And then we're finally getting out of summer, so we're getting that Sharing is Caring session scheduled. Again, just with the summer months, everybody's taking a little break, so we wanted to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to kind of recharge those batteries. So we'll get those new schedules coming up here soon. I know Todd Clint and Stephanie Marshall are going to lean in to help out, so we're excited for that. What is Sharing is Caring if you're brand new, everybody? Well, it is a live hands-on guidance session. That means we're going to join in a Teams call together. We're going to walk through, for example, how to contribute via GitHub. We're going to demystify those terms like Git and pull and fork and blame and raw and pull requests and all those things that sound confusing. We will break them down into something simple. And by the way, it is a safe space. What does that mean? It means that you are free to ask any and all questions because we do not record it. So that means that you don't have to worry about something you ask going on record if you're fearful that everybody should know the answer, which if you don't know the answer, then everybody doesn't know the answer. And it's a great question to ask. So don't hesitate. We want to make sure you feel safe and empowered to learn, and that's the whole point. So we look forward to that session getting scheduled. We promise we'll get it scheduled soon. And then, of course, once you do contribute, well, we want to recognize you for all the amazing work that you're doing. And that is where our recognition program, not just our recognition program, everybody, your best-in-class recognition program. Credly has recognized our program as a best-in-class program, and it's really all because of you. These wonderful, awesome, cool badges are a lot of fun, and of course, we're in superhero season, so you can earn the Porcupine Rises. This is a bonus badge that is available to everyone after earning 4 badges. You got 4 full months, I guess 3 full months now. July is just about over, but you still have August, September, and October. Yes, and October. It highlights and overlaps with Hacktoberfest. So check it out, aka.ms/community/recognition. It is absolutely free. There is no cost at all to get involved here. These badges will be provided to you. And while we do have fun, we have serious badges, they're a little more formal. Then we have these fun badges like the superhero season or the May the 4th be with you theme badges. They are real. They are accredited. Why does that matter? Because when you want that next raise or you want that promotion or you want that next client, show them these. Tell them you're making a difference. You're contributing to the greater good of the community and you're being recognized for it. That is a big deal. These are accredited. They don't go out to just everybody. They are vetted. You have to contribute to earn them. And so we appreciate each and every one of you and be proud of them and show them off on the socials. And speaking of the superhero season, well, that bonus badge, we got another earner. So we want to congratulate Gotham. I don't think he's on the call today. He's actually on vacation, well deserved, after earning all these badges. And we got a few more. I just ran some scripts this morning and saw there's a few more coming soon. So congratulations, Gotham, on that for being the second contributor to achieve all 5 badges. Again, that Porcupine Rises everybody is a bonus badge. So you get those 4. All you got to do is contribute over the course of the next couple months. All the information is at the Recognition Program site and on Credly, and you can earn these as well. And there's a question in the chat, Chris, Superman badge. Yes, I know it's popular right now with the movie, right? But don't worry, we're going to have a second series of the superhero season, which is going to have even more. So don't you worry your pretty little head. We're going to have more coming soon, and it'll be fun, and everybody will have an opportunity. So we look forward to that. Okay, let's get into some project-specific updates. We are going to start with our Copilot prompt library. This is another awesome opportunity, everybody, to contribute to the community. It's very lightweight. What do I mean by that? We all have become those prompt engineers. We've all learned the love language of AI, how to communicate with Copilot and ChatGPT and all these other engines that we like to work with. Well, guess what? What you find probably common knowledge to you is a whole brainstormed idea that no one else has ever thought of. So share it with the community. These are very simple. They're literally just prompts. And so if you're unfamiliar with GitHub, then be on the lookout for the Sharing is Caring. Get that joined. We might actually do one on a call here soon because there is some open slots. But this is a wonderful low-hanging fruit opportunity to contribute to the community, earn some of those badges, give back. I guarantee you have some prompts that you use that if you go sift through them, you're going to be like, hey, yeah, I think I could contribute this one. It's super powerful. And it doesn't even have to be techie, right? We've seen a lot of life hacking opportunities with these, which is a super cool way to extend it into another area of life that's beneficial. And once you do contribute, guess what? You might actually become the prompt of the week. So Antania, thank you. She submitted one for find a slot for a meeting. So it says, I need to schedule a 45-minute meeting with an external team. It kind of goes on with a little bit of information, and then you give it some instructions. So again, great way to life hack or use it within the corporate environment. Thank you, Antania, for that. And again, you could be the next prompt of the week. So great job there. All right, let's move over to Bert on PNP.NET libraries.
Yes, so in the .NET world, we had a couple of good changes, both for Framework as core SDK. For Framework, Yin did fix some like a stability problem. We had like an error message being thrown, and the error message contained an null reference, which is not good. So he fixed that. So small change, but useful. On the core SDK side, we had 3 fixes. The first one is from Pedro. He did handle, he built a better JSON escape feature when we in the page API, because we read the JSON and there were some issues if you have embedded JSON in JSON, etc. So he fixed that. So thanks for that. Luc Mo Costabella, he fixed the reindex method. So when you have like a library with files, you can say reindex library and it will be picked up by the crawler again and be indexed at that point. And that didn't work, and he fixed that, so thanks for that. And finally, Kinga did add a new feature to our validate users and validate use and ensure users method to also check if user was disabled in Entra or not. So it takes that into account and returns information as well. So overall, things are moving smooth here. And next week, I hope to have like next time an update on pages. So we have a PR around that brings support for flexible sections to the page API, which is really cool. But I need to do more testing there before I merge that. With that, I think we can move to the next one. Thank you all, folks, and see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Bert. Yes, that is actually exciting. Those flexible layouts I know are a big fan favorite of the community. So being able to extend that through here is going to be super cool. Thank you, Bert. All right, Gotham, as I mentioned, is out today. So I'll cover PowerShell. Again, just a review for you all. This is one of the OG, if you will, community projects. There are 41.8 million downloads, 140 million commandlets executed per day. So I think something's going right with it. Version 3.1.0 is now out, so there's a few improvements there, like federated identity, supporting Connect PNP Online, show better error messages and new PNP site commandlets. So a lot of other stuff. Gotham is doing a great job helping maintain this, and you could help again. So reach out to him if you have any questions, and we would love to get you involved. All right, let's move on to script samples. Another great opportunity to contribute to the community with Mr. Paul Bullock.
Hey everybody. So script samples is a repository where you share PowerShell scripts with the community. So many of us have those utility libraries or groups of scripts we've created over the course of using 365, and you can share them here if you want to share them with the community. So this can cover like tools such as the Microsoft Graph, PnP PowerShell, SPO Management Shell, the CLI for M365. There's really no limit, so we can always alter the site to accommodate your scripts if they use a special case. But absolutely, please share those. So these samples are also integrated in the Microsoft Sample Gallery as well, and Adam Walshep has got some cool extensions where he surfaces the scripts in those places as well for that easy to get to place. We've got 3 new scripts, so thank you for those. So we've got one for the CLI for M365 on creation of an FAQ page in SharePoint from a CSV file from Michael Cornet. We've got new PnP PowerShell scripts, so SharePoint list, content type migration, data preservation by Jeppy Spacard. And then we've got exporting and migrating SharePoint libraries with folders from Rashmi Akli. So thank you very much for all those contributions. That's absolutely amazing. I love to see these new scripts and these new ideas. I personally learn a lot from them. So if you're curious as well, you could learn a lot too from those scripts if you're curious how to do certain tasks. By all means, if you are thinking of contributing, you're not quite sure, but you need some support, then I'm around. You can DM me on Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky. If you've got a pigeon, you can
smoke signals. Yep.
Smoke signals, flags.
Excellent.
I'll accept anything. And light signals, Morse code. Yeah. And there's a badge for you as well. So if you contribute to the repo, then we've got a range of badges as well for you, which is super cool. And then over to the next one. So this is another one that I've also. Sorry, David, just cut you in. This is another one that I'm slowly taking over just to socialise the cool contributions that go in this space that Bob German used to do. He's retired now, so I thought I'd give this repo a bit of love. There's quite a few contributions going on in this space. So this repo is a place where you can share your Copilot extensibility samples with the community. So if you work with declarative agents or M365 Agents Toolkit, then if you want to share that work with the community, you've got a cool example, maybe even based on the instructions that we saw earlier, then you can share them here. So I've been doing some, I'm still going through the repo just to give it a bit of love. And there's 4 samples that I didn't socialize last time that I just want to call out. So we've got the PnP PowerShell agent by Emery Thomas, PnP assistant agent by Guido Zimbardia, and then 2 from Sid Mather with the PM spec reviewer and writer agents that will help you write those and check those specs as well. So by all means, if you've got any declarative agents or things that you want to demonstrate to the community, then this is the repo for that. So and again, if you need support, then by all means you can reach out to myself, and I'm happy to support submitting the contribution. It's slightly different to script sample, so don't get too confused. So there is a different way for that. I'm still working on improving that experience for you. But anyway, back to you, David, and thank you for everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Yeah. And by the way, everybody, these are going to be getting dedicated badges too. So Paul and I are working together on creating some badges for this. So be on the lookout for that. And they will be retroactive. So if you've already contributed, don't worry. We'll set the timer back. Great, Scott, with our flux capacitor, and make sure that if you have already contributed, you get your badge. So don't worry about that. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. All right. Kate is also out today, but wanted to highlight the great work she's doing in all of the curation and maintaining of the Power Platform samples, snippets, and prompts. So we've got some new samples from Nadi and April, of course, Katarina. They are doing awesome work there. Thank you, Steve, for a snippet. I love those snippets. The prompts are a great way to contribute as well. A lot of fun ways to contribute under the Power Platform umbrella. So thank you for everyone that is doing that. Really great job. And you can see more. There is tons. I think we just hit a nice round number. You look down there in the lower right, we got 70 samples, 50 snippets, and 120 prompts. So got to love those round numbers. But I would love you to break those round numbers by contributing another sample. So don't hesitate. All right. Well, what time is it? It is picture time. So let's get those cameras turned on. And I will move this over here. And while you all get your wonderful smiles ready to go, I will turn Camtasia to record mode. I see Todd is practicing There we go. Excellent. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So again, we only have 2 presenters today, so we have a little extra time. That's why we've been stretching out the intro here. Todd, did you bring enough coffee for the whole class? You know what they say. Okay, good. Yeah, all right, very good. Excellent. Stephanie, I don't see you, but we'll give it a second. Teams has been teamy lately, so we'll give it a second there if everybody wants to try to maybe toggle it. Sometimes if there are other things, by the way, everybody, I noticed, if something else is controlling your camera and you try to tell it to turn on, it's not going to do it, whatever your other software is. Like I just had Camtasia turning on and trying to take care of it, and it didn't take it. So just an FYI, like maybe there's other software you got. Okay, all right. With that, everybody, let's do a countdown. Let's do 3, 2, 1, and there. All right, Ian's jumping down. Great to see you all again. Love the smiles. Love being here. Really appreciate you. We'll get this shared out with socials. We'll show it off. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you all for being the amazing contributors you are. Really, again, not possible at all without the passion that you bring each and every single day to this community. All right, well, let's move into our presenters of the day. Speaking of which, we're going to start with Brian Archer, who's going to talk about Power Platform meets Terraform. So, Brian, feel free to take on over the screen. The floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, David. Let me just share my screen. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. There we go. So today I'm going to be talking a bit about Terraform and how it can integrate with Power Platform and how you can use Terraform to manage your Power Platform estate. I'm going to be covering concepts in kind of high level. So if anyone wants any more detail, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if they want to go over anything specific. So before we get into the main topic, just a little bit about myself. So Brian Archer, I'm currently working as a DevOps engineer, and my work right now involves kind of solutions across Power Platform and Azure. My background is as an infrastructure engineer, so before I stumbled across Power Platform, I was working with VMware, vCenter servers, Windows servers, Cisco networking equipment, all that good stuff. And in terms of Power Platform, I've worked across Canvas apps, model-driven apps, Power Automate, and a bit of governance and ALM and DLP policies, that kind of thing. Now, before we get into how Power Platform can integrate with Terraform, I wanted to cover a bit about what is Terraform and what are some of the benefits of using it. So Terraform is infrastructure as code. So you declare your infrastructure as code, and then Terraform goes and deploys it rather than clicking around a GUI. Typically, it's used to deploy cloud resources across various platforms, so Azure, AWS, GCP, that sort of thing. And it's a declarative language, so you essentially declare in your Terraform configuration files exactly what you want to deploy. You don't need to tell it how to deploy it. You just tell it what's to be deployed, and it will go and deploy it for you. Now, with that being said, why might you use Terraform? What are some of the benefits? So, firstly, it's open source, so it works across various platforms. So, as I said, you can use it to deploy to Azure, to AWS, to GCP, to Power Platform, as I'm going to show you in a minute. And also, you can use it to deploy to on-premise VMware infrastructure as well, and a whole host of other platforms. So, the sky really is the limit with that one. The idea of Terraform and kind of writing your infrastructure as code is you can kind of write it once and deploy it repeatedly. So it's reusable in nature, which is always good. And not only can Terraform deploy your infrastructure, but it's got a concept called state management where it knows about what is deployed. So even after you've deployed some infrastructure, if you want to update that infrastructure, you can do that via Terraform, and it will manage your infrastructure through the entire life cycle. Another good thing about using infrastructure as code and Terraform in particular is you're deploying resources in a consistent manner. So if you think about deploying, 3 virtual machines in Azure, if you've got 3 cloud engineers, each one of them might deploy a VM in slightly different fashion. They might use slightly different naming convention. They might use slightly different tags. One person might forget to check a box for some configuration element. Whereas if you've got all of that defined in Terraform configuration files, you're just running that Terraform and it's deploying those VMs exactly as you've specified. So it removes the element of human error. As I mentioned before, Terraform will manage your resources once it's deployed them. So a benefit of that is that you can also easily destroy your infrastructure. Now, I know that sounds a bit scary, but it's also good for like ephemeral infrastructure. So one of the things I'm thinking about just now is a concept of like ephemeral Power Platform environments with like pre-dev. So if Power Platform devs want to, do some pre-dev work that don't necessarily want to interfere with the official dev build, they just want to test out some beta things, we can use Terraform to spin up some Power Platform environments, and then once they're done, you can take them back down again with Terraform without having to go into each individual environment and delete them from the GUI. And it can also be automated using Azure DevOps or GitHub Actions. Another really good thing about Terraform, especially for me who's not a traditional software developer, is that the programming language is very human readable. Now we'll see that when I come to demonstrate some of the Terraform code, is that it's very easy to look at Terraform blocks and know exactly what it should be deploying with what parameters. And lastly, using Terraform and deploying in this manner, you're really taking away that unnecessary click ops of having to click around the GUI. If you think about something like deploying a Power Platform environment, if you're deploying, 2 or 3 of them, you're having to click around the GUI 2 and 3 times. Again, it takes longer and you're also introducing human error, whereas something like Terraform takes that away completely. Now, with that being said, we will jump into a demonstration where I'm going to demonstrate how we can deploy multiple Power Platform environments with Terraform configuration files. So if I drag my Chrome window across here, you'll see I'm in my Azure DevOps environment. I've got a pipeline which is going to create me some Power Platform environments using Terraform. So if I run this, and I'll talk a bit about the code and exactly what it's doing. So let's run that just now. So first thing the pipeline does is it runs Terraform initialize, and that's, as you might have guessed, it's initializing Terraform. So that's your first step in the Terraform workflow, is to initialize your Terraform installation file on the host agent machine. And what that's doing is it's checking the version of Terraform, it's downloading the providers that you've specified, and it's also making sure that your version of your provider that you're using matches and is compatible with the version of the Terraform installation that you've got running on the host machine. Now, once it's finished the initialization, we'll see here Terraform has been successfully initialized. It's then going to go on to the apply stage. Now, before it runs Terraform, or during the Terraform apply.
Hey Brian, sorry to interrupt. Is there any way you could zoom in a little bit just so the fonts are a little bit clearer?
Yep. Let me do that on the browser.
Awesome. Thank you. Perfect.
So, while it runs, as part of Terraform apply, it's going to run what's called a Terraform plan step. And what that does is Terraform plan essentially tells you what Terraform is going to do without actually doing it. So if you're making changes to your infrastructure and you want to just sense check what you're doing is actually going to do what you intended to do, then you run Terraform plan as a separate step, and that'll tell you exactly what's going to be done before you apply it. And if we look here, we should see, yep, so you can see there it's ran Terraform plan, it's telling us what it's going to do. So down here it's telling us it's going to add 2 resources, which is my 2 Power Platform environments. And this is then being created here. And we can see the apply is complete, successfully added 2 resources, and it's even given us some outputs with the environment IDs as well. Now, if I switch over to my Power Platform Admin Center and I refresh the browser, we should see we've got 2 extra environments here, and that was these ones that were deployed using Terraform. Now, if I bring in my VS Code, and David, just let me know if you want me to zoom in any more on this, or if that's readable.
No, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
We'll take a look at the code that we used to deploy those environments. So, as I was saying before, Terraform is very human readable. So from this block, we can see we're deploying a resource. The resource we're deploying is a Power Platform environment. I've given the resource block a name, and this is where we start filling in our parameters for that environment. So we're giving it a display name, we're giving it a description, we're specifying the location, we're setting the environment type as developer, and we're giving it an owner ID and some Dataverse parameters there as well around language codes and currency. Now, this is actually a reusable module. So what I've done is I've got the module files here, and I'm calling that module from my root module here. So you'll see here, this is me in my root module, and I'm going out and I'm calling that Terraform module that I just showed you. And what we're actually doing is we're defining multiple display names and multiple descriptions for each environment. So in my locals file here, I'm saying that I've got an array with 2 objects. So this is saying that I want 2 environments, one with the name of dev env1, the other one with dev env2, and specifying a description for each. And then when I call my module, I'm just telling it that I want an environment for each of those locals. And that's how it's creating the 2 environments that you saw in the admin center. Now, in this example, this is a fairly simple example. I'm creating 2 identical environments that are both developer type and that, have got all the same settings. But you could, in your local cell, you could define different settings for each environment. So I could deploy, a full set of dev, UAT, and production environments. I could have one of them being a developer type, I could have one being a sandbox type, and I could have one being a production type, all just defined within Terraform without having to click around the GUI multiple times. So that's just a quick snapshot really of how simple it can be to deploy multiple Terraform environments without having to really go around the GUI and click multiple times. Now, if I go back to the presentation, let me just get it up here. And now deploying environments is just one use of Terraform within Power Platform. And also worth noting that you can deploy both standard and managed environments with Terraform. So the example I showed you was using standard, but there's also a separate resource for managed environments as well. You can also deploy your DLP policies. So you can create your environments. You can then, within the same Terraform configuration, you can define your DLP policies so that when you're creating environments, the environments are being created and they're also getting the DLP policies applied as well. And further to that, you can also create and manage your connections and your tenant and environment settings within Terraform. So what you can do is within a single set of Terraform configuration files, you can deploy the environment, the DLP policy, any connections, any settings, and then that way, as soon as you run Terraform apply against those configuration files, the environment is fully ready for the developer to utilize and begin development. You can also manage your Power Platform solutions within Terraform. Now, typically this would be done using something like PackCLI or Power Platform build tools for a fully fledged ALM process. But if you wanted to, make complete use of Terraform within Power Platform, you can utilize it to move solutions between environments as well. And since David had said I've got a bit more time, I'm going to quickly show you some of the code for deploying a DLP policy using Terraform. So similar pattern to the environment that you saw, we've got a resource block. We're telling it we want to deploy a Power Platform data loss prevention policy. We're giving the resource block a name. And then we've then got variables defined for the display name, the environment type, and what environments we want that policy to apply to. And then what's quite useful within this block is, if you think about when you're creating DLP policies using the GUI, you have to go in and you have to mark connectors manually as business or non-business or blocked. Well, when you do it all through Terraform, you can just define your business connectors in a variable, and then you can dynamically generate your non-business connectors and your blocked connectors. So what this is doing here is, we've got our business connectors defined in a variable within our variables file here. So we're defining our business connectors in here, and then, so these are our business connectors here. These are the values for that variable. And then what we're doing is we're dynamically generating our non-business connectors and our block connectors. So it's saying that if the connector is not blockable, so if unblockable equals true, and it's not in the business connectors list, then it goes into non-business connectors. And similarly, if unblockable equals false, and it's not in the business connectors, then it gets blocked. And again, we can also define patterns for custom connectors. So again, this lets you create really complex, customized DLP policies without having to go in and manually mark connectors as blocked, as business, as non-business. You define it all within your Terraform configuration files, and you can even dynamically generate your connector list as well. And if we go back to the presentation before I finish up, I just wanted to point you in the direction of the Terraform registry. So this is all the documentation for the Power Platform provider. So this will tell you exactly, basically everything you can manage and deploy within Power Platform using Terraform. So any resource within Power Platform that you want to deploy using Terraform, you'll get all of the documentation for it on this link here. Okay. And with that, thank you for listening.
Awesome, Brian. Awesome. Super cool stuff. Always love to see technology that gets shared between the stuff we use every day and maybe the stuff that's new to us. So thank you for kind of bringing that out, showing how that can work together and all that good stuff. Really, really great job. Thank you, Brian. That link is in the chat, everybody, and we'll also, for you watching on demand, we'll have it in the YouTube description. So take a look at that. Well, we will move on to our second presenter demo of the day. It is Chris Kent. It is going to no doubtedly include some horsies and wowies. So, Chris, feel free to take on over the screen.
I'll do what I want. Don't tell me what to do, dude.
You're not the boss of me.
You see it? We good? We see
I
it?
do.
Wow. That's me. Wow, we did it. All right, now let's jump over to the list formattings. Okay, we're going to take a look at some exciting stuff today. So the main thing we're going to look at is what's custom row actions. There are a bunch of these, and we've got some new ones. So I'm going to briefly go over the ones we've had for a while and point you where you can get more information on each of those. And then we're going to talk about some of the new ones. Ooh, exciting. So I've got this list here that's all set up with all this. You'll notice I also have down here some code. This is just each one of these formats so we can look at them easily without waiting on them to load here. But this is part of the list formatting repo. So I'm sure David will have a link here at some point, and I'll show one at the end. And this is all part of the column samples generic row actions, where we've got a sample of every different row action. So what is a row action, right? Well, let's take a look here. Well, first, let's make this a little bigger, right? There we go. Look at that. Now we hit that guy. We opened up a Microsoft list. Here's a fun thing, at least in my tenant I'm seeing, is that I don't get that lovely purple when I first get here. I get this blue until I launch a flow panel. Hey, we're purple again. So if you're seeing that, it's fun. We're in a fun club here. Want to know what's going on there exactly, but that's partially because we're using the special color theming classes here. So, all right, but now we've got our purple all fixed. All good. So when we say default or custom row actions, what we mean in say formatting is just a regular format. These can be inside buttons, spans, or divs. And when you've got a button or span or a div, you can have this custom row action here, and then you specify the action by name. In this case, default click does, like you might expect, it opens the item. Wow! Right, so it's the same as if I were to double click the item. All right, so double clicking the item is the same thing. Right, so it just allows me to control exactly how that's done. I can show it conditionally. I can add special styles to it. Right, so the rest of this format is just styles. These formats will all pretty much be the same except for this custom row action piece here. Okay, so that's how that works. Then you'll start to see the rest of these pretty well align with the buttons up here when you've got an item selected. Right, so when you have an item selected, you can do almost all of these original ones here. So we can hit edit, or we can hit edit props here. Right, so it's just the same thing. It's just edit props. And the difference here is it opens that form, but it's basically hit the edit all button for us. Wow, that's exciting. All right, and then share, just like this does the share here. We can also do the share. Oh my gosh. Whoa, it's amazing. All right, good. We keep going further than that. We can also copy the link. All right, so if we've got a copy link, it's the same as hitting this button here. Wow, copied. So you can see again, all of these so far just specify action and then the name of it. Now you'll notice this one, VS Code is highlighting this for me, and you'll get the same kind of underline when you go to format it here on the website. And the reason for that is the schema, this thing right here, has not yet been updated with some of these new actions. So this is one of those newer ones here. But I can show you it does indeed work. So it's just copy link. There we go. And I believe the documentation is up to date on at least copy link here, which I can't switch to that. So we'll just not go to the documentation. All right, that's fine. Trust me. We'll just say wink, wink. Okay, so comment, same kind of thing, comment. The difference here is it opens that edit form, but it auto focuses you in comments. That's really the only difference. So it's the same as the default click, except if this were collapsed, it's going to make sure it's expanded, and it will auto focus here so you can start typing right away. Again, can be really helpful if you're trying to promote some of these features and trying to make it a little more front and center than having to know that you have to select an item and then come up here and comment. Same with delete. Ah, no, I love my butter is turned. I shall not. And we saw the execute flow earlier. Let's see the delete, execute flow. We've seen this one a number of times. There are several samples on this, but let's go over it very briefly. You'll see execute flow has this additional item called action params. So we're going to see that a couple more times here. Action params, unlike action input, which we'll also see, action params will always be escaped JSON within your JSON. JSONception! Microsoft loved JSON so much that they decided to do it twice, right in there. And that's great, because then it also means that you have to escape every double quote here. So that's what these are. So this is what's going on here. And what we're doing here, the only thing you actually need to execute the flow is the ID of the flow. And I'm pulling that right off of my Power Automate. Oh, it's the Teams sharing thing. Beep, beep. There we go. Let's see. I've got my little Teams things covering up the window, but I just can't see it. We'll do that. Aha! So where this is coming from, this little ID right here. All right, so if you get the ID of your flow, it's in the URL. If you go to the flow details, and then you put that in, and let's put that guy back up here, and let's make him back on top. There we go. All right, so you can see that's where that same ID here. And then I can customize things like the header, and I can customize the run flow button text so that when I click that, all right, we saw that before, that comes up and it pulls in, this is what I specified here, it's flow time, and then this will say do it once it's connected. Everything in here, though, is not coming from the format, right? So this is the title, this is the description, and this is a summary of the connections, right? So all of that information is still coming from the flow itself. So if you want to customize any of those, you come over here and you edit those just like you would expect. Wowee! All right, so let's keep going. All right, and again, these are not required, but they certainly help quite a bit, and I think it's a lot easier to understand those than run flow. But this is also the same thing as coming up here, right? We go to automate and we go down to flows. We wait for it to load as it figures out what it can do, and there's emphasize it, right? This one you'll see a lot because it's really nice to be able to change what flow runs based on the status, or doing all sorts of other things like that, or being able to show some of the actual progress of that. Again, we have a bunch of samples and videos about that. So let's keep going. All right, now we're going to take a look at this one, we took a look at this a little more detailed a few weeks ago, and I will reference that video here in just a little bit. But if you are interested in customizing the new approvals type actions, if you've turned on approvals, you'll see you'll get this request approval here. It's the same thing as hitting this, which is open approval dialog. When I click that, I get this nice little dialog with all my ability to set up the approvers and everything here. And that's super cool. I cannot at this time customize this form, right? I can't change anything here. I'm just saying whether or not I want to show it or not, right? So I'm helping prompt the user without having to have them select it, then coming up here. That's what that is. But again, we did a demo where we showed how you can customize how this looks and specify what the status is and do some other fun things there. Okay. Now, what about if I don't like people having to be able to right-click things. I want them to be able to left-click and it be like a right-click. Good news. You can do that with Open Context Menu. So you can make your own button that opens that context menu. All right, so it's the same thing for your list item. It'll just open the context menu without having to right-click. So there you go. Wow. Save your Mac users from having to hold control down. All right. Now here's another interesting one. So this is a fairly new one. This one is where we're going to start to see our first use of action input. Right, so the embed action allows you to take an embeddable item from an approved domain. So just like other areas, if you're trying to embed on your SharePoint pages or whatever, there is a spot for your site settings or for your tenant settings where you can add additional domains to approve there. By default, there are several kind of that come out of the box, like YouTube, for instance, what we're going to show here. And the way these works is you specify a height and the width, and you specify the special embed link, and it's just going to create a lovely thing for us here where it's going to put that video right here, and you can watch that or wherever your other embed. So if you've got say your own Cloudinary or something like that where you're hosting videos, you've got Stream or whatever else, and you want to be able to embed these directly, you can. And the way I got that link was I just went to YouTube, and if you come down to share, if you hit this embed, this source right here, that is the embed link. And then I just copied the width and height so that I had the nice aspect ratio, right? And I customized those right here. So you can see it's a 1-for-1. Nice, I didn't have to do that escaped JSON stuff. So I do like the action input. I hope that they start doing that a little more. Wow-wee. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, so we can do some stuff with that. Let's go back. Obviously, maybe you don't want to do YouTube videos, but you can. And then you can also, of course, do these dynamically. You'll see that I've got these hard-coded, so each one of these does the same video. But for instance, if I wanted to build this with an expression, right, if I wanted to add it equals, and I just started to write it here, I could say, plus, some field value that is the field value with, say, the YouTube of, video ID, that kind of thing, right? If I want to put in start times, all right, look, it even suggested it for me. How nice. Okay, well, let's undo that before I forget to do that. Okay, great. So now let's look at a slightly more complicated one, and that is the set value. So we've seen this a number of times. There's several samples on the set value because it's really, really powerful. It allows you to set one or more column values all at the same time. So if we take a look at set value, you can see this also makes use of that action input. And the way this one works is you just put your internal column name here, and this will be the value set it to. And again, you can use expressions just like I'm doing, where I'm saying take whatever the value currently is and add 1 to it. Right, so that's for the plus button. And then I've got another one down here doing the exact same thing where I'm just subtracting 1 from it. So that allows us to do things like plus. Hey, it updated the item, right? It went up. And even when the value is null right now, I should be able to subtract and minus it. And all of these things, so this one has a corresponding quick action. So if you haven't seen the quick actions yet, these are hidden up here in the automate in quick steps. I call them quick action, but quick steps, where you can create a new quick step. I'm just going to manage quick steps, and you can see that I've got one. This is the best dialog. There we go. Let's make that better. Okay. So I have one here where I can say for every selected item, I can set the value. So it's the same exact kind of thing where I can set the value, right? But I can specify every single one of them that I have selected. So there's benefits, pluses and minuses, right, to this approach. So the plus to this approach, right, is I don't have to select anything. I can affect exactly that I want. I can say exactly how I want that edit to be, and I can do it dynamically on the fly. Very, very powerful. But I can't affect multiple items at once, right? But in this case, I can come up here, and now I can come up to automate quick steps. And I get reset value here, right? So I can hit reset value, and I can update all of those items at once. I can even update multiple columns at once. So there's a real correspondence or a correlation between these, and we're going to see that even more in just a moment. So you can go really crazy with this. You can add additional items here. All right, so if I, let's make that top again, there we go. Right, so I could specify additional columns here, right? If I wanted to update, one of the other columns here, I could say title, and I would just be able to say what its value should be, like dog. Why would it be dog? I don't know. It could be, right? But again, I could make this dynamic. I could do all sorts of stuff here. Again, check out a ton of samples. If you just search for the set value, you'll see a lot of examples of that. All right, but now let's take a look at a couple of new ones that are unique to document libraries. What? That's crazy. All right, let's undo. Okay, perfect. All right, the first one we're going to look at is preview file action. So if I head over here, this is just a standard document library. I've added a couple of more column formats here. So this is the preview file action. And the way this works is very, very similar to the embed, except there aren't additional action inputs on this one. But what I can do is I can click it, and now I get the file preview dialog, right? So in some ways, this seems a little strange, right? Like, why would I need that? For instance, if I click on the file itself, well, it depends on how it goes. I'm not logged in. Right, it opens the whole thing. Right, sometimes it shows the file preview based on your sizing. I can't switch over. Let's come back here. But it does act a little bit differently, right? So if you wanted to preview, this is the way to preview rather than open directly or doing the default click. For instance, this will open over in Excel, right? Whereas this guy will open right here, and you can work on it directly. So that's very, very helpful to have that. It's not quite the same as a thumbnail column where we have lots of examples if you wanted to do a thumbnail. This is for when you really want to take advantage of that whole preview kind of interface. Ooh. All right. Now, copy file. What is this? Right, so now we can do this. So copy file, we're going to see these action params come back into play. And the way this is going to work is the copy file will take whatever file I've got here, and I can hit butterflies or magic, and I'm going to copy it over here. Let's see. Nothing up my sleeve, no butterflies or magic here. All right, so let's copy that file. Copying one item, and then it should be over here. We, let's see, can I refresh this? Let's refresh this little guy. There we go. It would probably show up on its own, but there it is. Sample Word document, butterflies are magic. Okay, there it is. Beautiful. The idea is I can set up predefined copy actions. So what's really powerful about that is, right, in the past, you would have to come in here and you could say, there's a copy in here. I don't even know where it is. Because, there's copy to, right? And then it comes up here and it's like, hey, where do you want to copy to? And that could be like, you're telling people, like, remember, don't copy it to, the old HR site. Copy it to the new HR site into the different, folder. And everyone forgets that. They're always copying to the wrong spots. It's a real mess. With this, I can predefine exactly where I want it to go every time. I can even do it dynamically, right? So based on the status of, say the document in the approval or something like that, I can choose where the copy or the move happens to by specifying this destination URL. Do note that it's lowercase d and uppercase U and then lowercase u, R, and L. Exciting. It's just having fun with it, right? But here you can see I've written this as an expression, right? So the idea is even though this is escape JSON, which we love, I can also write that all as an expression. So I've got the equals. I'm just building a string here. So by using current web, I make this work wherever. I'm not hard coding it to my specific site. And I'm just saying wherever the shared documents library is, that's where I want you to copy on this site. But if I wanted to go to a specific folder, for instance, I could add that right in here, right? I could say, a special folder. Or if I wanted to make that dynamic, I could do that. So you could get a lot of really cool things with that. So be sure to check that out. Now, this also has an analog in the quick actions. Let's take a look at that. So if we take a look up here, I've configured one, maybe. Let's just refresh because I can't click none of the interfaces. Silly interface, just so silly. Oh, am I still connected to everybody? I didn't lose the connection, did I? Okay, good.
No, I can hear you and see you. Something's going on with just maybe your SharePoint site. SharePoint, SharePoint is a.
These pages are responding perfect. Let's just wait.
They're like, you're not the boss of me, Chris Kent.
Yeah. All right. It's probably that I tried to do this fancy splitting nonsense. Let's just unsplit that. There we go. And we'll exit the page. And there you go. It didn't like it, but we're back. So the idea here is if I go to automate, I've got my quick steps. You manage my quick steps. You can create a copy quick step. All right. So this is the same kind of thing. Right. So I can specify where I want that to go. In this case, I've selected the documents folder. So it's all the same kind of thing. I could even choose to display this conditionally, right? So like only when certain things happen. So again, it's very, very similar analog, but you have to be able to select that file, but you can select multiple files and hit that all at once. That can be really, really helpful. And if you're ever wondering, how does this actually get configured? Here's a friendly tip. If you install, there's an extension called SP Editor. It is awesome. Be sure to use that. And when I hit F12, I can go over to the SharePoint tab. I can go down to List Properties, and right on the side I'm on, I can come down here and pick whatever list or library I'm on. So I can click this action time. When I click that, I can actually see my quick steps properties. Right, so I can see exactly how that was configured. I can see they're configuring it with target library URL and documents and all these other things. This is not a one-for-one analog. So if you're doing it in format, it's a little bit different. But if you're ever interested in how the quick steps are stored or they're configured for your library or list, they are directly added to the list properties, and you can go view those using something like this or the API, which is all this is doing. Okay, that was a little fun pro tip. Wow. All right, and then lastly, we've got move file, which is basically the same thing, except it doesn't leave it also here, right? So if we want to take our first egg, and we'll move that on over. So we're moving that item, so it's going to cut it out of this guy, and now it should be over in the other one, which is, somewhere on the site. Where's that one? Oh, that's in documents. Oh, well, you know what? We've got this cool document switcher. Let's just switch over. So documents, do we have my first egg? Came over 10 hours ago, so I think I just copied it over. Awesome. Oh, that was when it was modified because it just came over. Got it. All right, because it was a move, not a copy. Got it? All right, so we have all of these different actions here we could do, and we've got several that are specific to document libraries, like we just looked at here in our action time here. So you can take advantage of those. Now, the nice thing, I'm showing each one of these as an individual column format. These can be used inside a larger view format. These can be used, combined with all the actions can be combined in a little toolbar, right? So sometimes it's really nice to be able to set up like a gallery view, and then you set up just a little toolbar of these buttons because it's just a little more intuitive than selecting an item and then coming back up here and find it. It's sometimes hidden within these where you're showing them exactly the way you want nicely. Now, you can customize how these go through the command bar properties, but those are per view, whereas if you're doing this at the column level, right, that's going to cross across all of the views. Okay, so real quick, let's wrap this up by jumping over to some slides. There's some slides. There we go. So here is the big list of all of the actions that are available. You can see that 3 of them are only for document libraries, but you can use all the other ones on document libraries as well. So it can be really helpful there. Most of these work within the list and library web part on the page, so they'll continue to work there. Last time I checked, execute flow was not working there exactly right, but it has in the past, so hopefully it's back to working. But the idea is that you can create little applications and really guide users. So if you've got a process for how people are supposed to work with your list items or your documents, it's cool that there's a ton of options, but that can be really overwhelming, especially if it's the same across every list. So sometimes it's going to be really helpful to hide a bunch of those buttons at the top using command bar prompts, and then only showing the buttons when they make sense as they're part of their workflow, right? So maybe we're not using commenting, so we don't use this one here. We even hide it from the top, right? It's available should they want to, but we're trying to really emphasize, hey, when you're done, the status is a certain way, we're going to show a big red copy button or move button, and we're even going to start the approval dialog and that kind of thing. And we can hook all that up with our flows and so on. So really, really powerful stuff. A really nice way to customize things. Okay, finally, this is a slide from the previous one. Just wanted to call this out. If you're doing anything with the open approval dialog, there are additional columns that get added when you sign up for the approvals on your list or library, and you can use all of these in your formats as well. And again, we've got a pretty cool sample we did a few weeks ago on that if you're interested in customizing that further. And then finally, be sure to check out our list formatting repo where we've got about 300 plus samples across all of the forms and the columns and the views, and wow. All of these are individual samples available in the generic row actions. You can find a little more details about the new modern approval stuff if you're not familiar with that, because that is new right here. And then, of course, some of the extensions that you may have seen in the background that help with formatting as well are here. And this does not help with formatting, but it does add little horses, and that's exciting. And that's it for me, David. Wow!
Wowee! Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. Lots to cover in that demo. A cornucopia, if you will, of list formatting tips and tricks. So Very, very good. Thank you. And it's really cool to see how powerful it's become, right? It's more than just embellishment of lists and libraries, but actually functional and useful in many, many ways. So thanks for always being a good steward and sharing that with us and helping run that repo. And bringing some cool pets, by the way. So I think there's even more that we were working on together that we're looking at. So excited for that. Okay. Well, thank you, Brian and Chris, for the demos today. Excellent job to you both. Really appreciate you both being willing to share your passion with the community. If you want to get more involved in the community, we've got our Discord server. This is a great one-stop shop to kind of have all areas of the community in one place. Well, over 2,800 now. I think we're actually closer to 2,900 plus or 3,000 members in there. So going to break that threshold here soon. You could be the lucky one that pushes us above. Chris will give you a free Wowee for doing that. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Wowee.
Check that. Wowee. See, there you go. It's he already gave it to you. Now no one's going to join, Chris. It's already all right. AK /community/Discord, and we would love to know some feedback. So feel free to let us know if things are working for you. If they're not, how we can improve them. Always looking to make improvements and make sure that you're getting the best out of these initiatives. The recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the community or Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. You can subscribe, go in and smash that like and subscribe for as many videos as you want. aka.ms/community/YouTube. That will alert you to as soon as it's dropped. You can also follow on Twitter, X, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, all of the socials. The next M365 Power Platform biweekly call 2 weeks from today, August 14th. Next BV Connection SharePoint Framework next August 7th. Next week, in fact, just 7 days away. So can't wait for that. All right, let's close it out then, everybody. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate all that you do. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.